Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 169th Rome Total War Brotherhood battle that I'm putting onto YouTube. As you know, I usually only put a battle on a Saturday morning, but I got home from work today and there was nobody on the computer, so I thought, how about a mid-week bonus battle for you to watch? And it's a rare 2v2 battle. The team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Crazy Wolf, who has bought the Rome Julio faction, and myself, who has bought the Carthage faction. This is a very old army. As some of you know, I tend to bring old armies out from the past to see how they do on the modern day battlefield. And this army is probably, I would say, probably 7 or 8 years old, or maybe even older. As you can see there, I've got approximately 13 pikes, 3 Balearic slingers, and 4 cavalry. So I'm always interested to see how these old armies do against modern day RTW players, so it should be an interesting game for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have an RTW player called Master Blaster, aka Scorpion King SR. So Master Blaster is Scorpion King SR, and he has bought the Egypt faction, the Egyptian faction. Let's have a look at a few of his units here. As you can see, this is the light desert cavalry. But if you look closely, can you see the axes that they carry there? Those are effective against armor axes. So even though they're light cavalry, they have kind of like got a sting in their tail with those axes. And then I see that he's got chariot archers. Now, these archers are pretty tough. You can see they've got the spikes on their wheels, so if you alt attack them, they can be quite devastating when they attack units there. So they're quite a multi-purpose unit there, archers, and can attack as well. And then we have the infamous Pharaoh Bowmen. These are some of the toughest archers in the game. When they've run out of arrows, they're so tough you can use them as light infantry. They're that good. And I think looking at Scorpion King's army, I think he's got about 10, maybe 10 of those Pharaoh Bowmen. And that's a fair old lot of arrows going to be coming our way. And then we have the Egyptian heavy chariots here. I'd just like to say, even though RTW is over 11 years old, I think the graphics are still not too bad really for an 11-year-old game there. And these Egyptian chariots are pretty good because they don't run amok. So we know when we've seen other chariots on other factions, when they run amok, they kill both friend and foe alike. But these chariots won't do that. So that's the Egyptian army so far, and I believe he's got a few Pharaoh pikemen here. Let's just have a look and see. And there you go, he's got 4 of the Pharaoh guards spearmen there. These guys are quite tough, and because these units are quite cheap, you can put really good upgrades on them as well. So I would say that Egyptian army is what maybe some people would call a skirmish army, and a very fast moving army as well. And then his teammate is IOW Bubo. As a lot of you know, Bubo plays with pike factions a lot, and over the time he has become very good with them. And whenever you see him play with them, you know you're in for a challenge. If you notice here, he's got something like about 12 or 13, maybe 14 pike units there. And then having a look at his cavalry, you can see he's got his companion cavalry there. And if you notice, there are winged helmets there. Very often they're called the winged horsemen. But those companion cavalry are really tough and can be battle-changing troops. And then over here, he's got a selection of cavalry here. He's got the light lancers, fast-moving, quite tough troops. You don't see them very often on the 31k battlefield. So they're pretty good. The light lancers. If you notice on their spears, they've got a point on both ends there, so they're fast moving and quite tough. You see, he's got and then he's got Greek cavalry there. Once again, light cavalry, fast moving cavalry. Once again, you don't see these troops much on a 31k battlefield. I would think they'll probably be used mostly for harassing enemy archers, slingers, etc. like that. So there's a Macedon army. Looks pretty good to me. And then we've got Brotherhood member Killer B, who is a spectator of this battle. I see he's bought the Scythian faction, but he's just a spectator. So there's the two teams. It should be an interesting game to watch. And with that Egyptian army, I should think it'd be a very fast-moving, mobile battle. At this very early stage of the battle, you can see that the Egyptian general here, SR, is bringing a lot of his Egyptian archers, chariot archers out to the right flank here, backed up by Macedon cavalry as well. Because remember, if you just bring your foot archers out with no cover, then the enemy just charge cavalry into them, as we've seen in other battle videos. So it's always a good idea, if you're going to bring archers out to the flank, always make sure you guard them with either cavalry or chariots. New players watching this, it's always a good idea to do that. See, they would like my ally to move forward there so they could shoot him in the side. Just thought I'd pause the game here for us a second to have a look at the Triarii. And this is a seldom bought unit to the 31k battlefield. Now these guys are got an anti-cavalry bonus, and they can be quite useful against cavalry, but what we find is that even with really good upgrades, these units tend to not hold that well, especially against infantry. But just to bring a unit, one unit, just to maybe guard your archers, something like that, against cavalry, something worthwhile trying there. So that's a Triarii unit there. As you can see, the enemy are moving more units out to the right here, threatening my teammate Crazy Wolf's infantry there. So Crazy's bringing his cavalry out to the right flank here, just in case they try to come in on his archers or my slingers there. Now what you'll find is when those chariot archers go into like a Canterbury circle firing arrows, you'll find that your foot archers don't do a lot of damage against them, but slingers do. And if you notice, I'm bringing my Balearic slingers over to combat and counter those chariots. If you notice, the Egyptian general, using his years of experience, is backing those chariot archers off, seeing my slingers coming towards them. Obviously Scorpion King SR has been playing RTW since it first came out, so obviously he's got a lot of experience and knew to pull that chariot archer back there. Right, if you notice here, Crazy Wolf's not going to hang around. He's not going to give the initiative to the enemy here with their archers and chariots and everything like that. If you notice, he's moving infantry and cavalry out to this right flank, and also he's guarding my Balearic slingers there, so they can still do a lot of damage from behind his lines there with their slingshots. And the thing is, when you face a skirmish army or a fast mobile army like this Egyptian army, if you stand still, then you can allow that army to move round, and you hand the initiative to that type of army, and they can start angling with their archers onto your units, shooting arrows into your flanks, if possible into your rear, targeting your cavalry if they can. So you can either stand there and kind of take that type of punishment and kind of, like I say, hand the initiative over to the enemy, or you can attack. And so we'll just have to see what happens in this battle, see what happens. If you notice here, he's moved that unit of Triarii. If you notice over to the right there, you notice he's moved that Triarii unit, the anti-cavalry unit, in front of my slingers there, just in case anybody of the enemy team want to charge in chariots or cavalry. That Triarii unit's there. And even though the Triarii unit's not very often brought to the 31k battlefield, it is quite effective against cavalry and chariots. So it's a nice little defensive move there by my teammate. Now if you notice, Crazy is now moving his infantry towards the Egyptian line there. And if you remember, when we looked at the Egyptian army, the only infantry they got are 4 pike units. But what they're relying on is for him to move forward, so they can like kind of snipe at his infantry as they move forward with their archers. Now if you notice my Carthage army here, what I'm aiming to do here, they're hiding at the moment. If you look, you can see that they're actually hiding in the long grass. But as that Macedon cavalry unit came by, obviously it when an enemy unit comes by, then the hiding units are then shown. If you notice, some of the fast moving Macedon cavalry there got in behind our lines and started to attack our archers and slingers there. So our heavy cavalry that we've got now, we've got to try and catch up to those light cavalry. This is an advantage with bringing light cavalry. You can get in, attack archers, slingers, and if the enemy's only got heavy cavalry, then it's very difficult for that heavy cavalry very often to chase down the light cavalry there, because obviously the light cavalry is so fast moving. As you can see here over on the right, a lot of Pharaoh bowmen there. And also I've got a feeling that the heavy chariots are hiding in the long grass. So these guys are kind of almost like a bit of bait for you to send over units, and then all of a sudden the chariots will come out of the long grass and attack whatever units you're going to send. But if you notice here, I'm sending my 4 Carthage Sacred Band Cavalry over here to attack those archers. As I say, when you're fighting this type of skirmish army, you can stand around and let them snipe at you, or you can attack. And I've decided to charge in with my Sacred Band Cavalry. If you noted, you see the chariot unit come out of the long grass to attack. But I'm still pressing on. I'm not going to pull back. I'm going for those archers. And if you notice, Crazy Wolf now is bringing his cavalry in as well. And maybe if we're lucky here, we might be able to take out the enemy chariots as well as the archers on these side. We'll just have to wait and see. If you notice, I bought my slingers close over as well. So the slingers, my 3 units of slingers, will be throwing in lots of slingshots into the enemy. If you notice, the Egyptian general in there is used the alt attack to use those Pharaoh bowmen as light infantry there against my cavalry. My cavalry have been very battle damaged in that attack, and coming up against fresh bowmen here, who I say are tough enough to be light infantry, then it'll be a bit of a challenge for them. Notice my slingshots from my slingers are coming in. Now, if you notice here, I decided to pull my cavalry back. Now this is a thing for new players to watch. So I'm pulling my cavalry back, but I'm not retreating. What I'm doing is I'm pulling back to reform, and now I'm charging in again to get the full cavalry charge bonus. Okay, my cavalry is very damaged there, but they've charged in, they get the full cavalry charge bonus, and with a bit of luck, we'll rout that those couple of Egyptian units there, which looks like we've done there. Meanwhile, Crazy Wolf here is attacking a chariot unit with his cavalry. Nice move by him. If you notice, he's got a couple of infantry units up here that's being attacked by chariots and cavalry as well. And it's got bowmen. You see the Pharaoh bowmen firing almost point blank into them as well. So unfortunately, Crazy's lost about 3 infantry units there. Just going to pause the game here for us to take stock of exactly what's happening. If you notice here on our right flank, we've taken out a lot of the Egyptian force. I think we've taken out all their chariots and a lot of their Pharaoh bowmen as well. And once again, if you notice, that's just through attacking. We weren't going to stand around and let them shoot at us and have the initiative and let them make us move to their moves. So we decided to attack. So we've done quite good there. As you see, Crazy's lost a couple of his infantry units there, 2 or 3 of his infantry units there, with those Pharaoh bowmen there firing fire arrows into that infantry. And if you notice, they were surrounded also by enemy units. So with all those fire arrows going into them, plus being surrounded, it's not surprising that those units routed there. So there's a general overview of the battle. So the thing is now, if you notice that the Egyptian pike units there, they've got, I think it's 3 or 4 pike units are there, but of course you've got the main Macedon pike army there, just waiting to kind of trying to make a move on us really. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to move my Carthage pikemen forward here with a view to take that Macedon army on head on. Okay, now of course the Egyptian general is going to move his bowmen out to my left with a view to fire loads of arrows into my flank. So I'm not going to move any more forward at the moment, because that's what they want me to do. And those Macedon pikemen are backing off to try and draw me forward, so those archers can fire into me, not just into my flank, but also they'll fire into me as I'm moving as well, causing a lot of casualties. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my few battle damaged cavalry units over. If you notice, Crazy Wolf is taking some of his archers over, and I'm going to take my slingers over there as well. And we're going to try and neutralise those archers before I move forward too far. If you notice, the Macedon pike general is now backed off a long way, trying to draw me forward. And meanwhile, over here on our right flank, you can see that Crazy's got a couple of infantry units involved with those Egyptian pikemen there. If you notice, there's a Macedon cavalry unit charging in to the back of that Julia unit that actually turned to meet them as they charged in. So those Egyptian pikemen now are getting quite isolated from their main Macedon ally. But if you notice over on the left flank, those archers that are waiting to shoot my Carthage army in the flank, if you notice that Crazy is charging his cavalry in, I'm charging my few battle damaged cavalry units in, and also I've taken my slingers over there as well. So the main thing is to try and get those archers, those Pharaoh bowmen, away from my Carthage army. Try and make sure that they can't reach them with their arrows there. As I said before, whenever you're fighting a mobile, fast army like this Egyptian army, you need to attack and move fast yourself to try and counter the advantage that they've got through the speed of their units that they've got there. And if you notice, both Crazy and myself have been in quite an attacking tactical moves here to try and take those Egyptian fast-moving units out. Okay, can you see I'm still running my Carthage army forward to take on that Macedon army? As I say, what my tactics would be here would be to take that army on head-on. That's what I really want to do. But bearing in mind that that Macedon army is quite a formidable force, got good upgrades, long pikes, and remember each unit's got 120 men in each. So that's a massive number bearing down on my units that have only got about 81 men in each unit there. So it's quite a big task there. If you notice here, I've made a bit of a tactical mistake because I think I'm concentrating on my cavalry and I didn't really pay attention to the way the Macedon army will move round to my flank. So now I've got to move fast to be able to face that Macedon army head on there. New players watching this, sometimes when you're concentrating on other units of your own like your cavalry or your slingers or whatever else on the battlefield, sometimes you're not watching exactly what your main force is doing. And the Macedon general there made the most of that and got onto the flank of my Carthage army there. So nice move by him. Meanwhile over here on the left flank you can see that we've taken out those Egyptian archers that were there. So that was a good move by us. And now if you notice, the main Macedon army is now attacking my Carthaginian Sacred Band army here. Now obviously what the Macedon general is hoping here is to destroy my army with his numbers and those long pikes, so he can then turn to face my ally. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be aggressive with my Carthage Sacred Band, and I am going to attack that Macedon army there. I'm not just going to stand there and let them come into me, I'm going to attack them with my Sacred Band Carthage force there. And if you notice there that my ally Crazy is now taking infantry units around the flank and the rear of those Macedon units to support me. New players watching this, once again, remember what we always talk about: teamwork. Whether it's 2v2, 3v3 or 4v4, you'll always help your teammates out here. If you notice that the Macedon General Buba here has formed, if you like, a rear guard here to stop my ally charging into the rear of his engaged troops there on that one flank. Nice little defensive move there. But if you notice my Carthage Sacred Band, I'm attacking, I'm gradually moving forward into those Macedon ranks, putting pressure on them. If you notice, here's a couple of Macedon cavalry units charging into the back of my engaged Sacred Band troops. But I must say the Sacred Band, Carthage Sacred Band troops have got good morale and they're pretty tough. So even with cavalry going into the back of them, even though they were engaged, they still didn't rout, they're still holding. Still pressing forward into the Macedon ranks there. Right, if you notice here, Crazy's brought around a couple of herb units to charge into the back of those engaged Macedon units. Must say, nice defensive work here by the enemy Macedon general. But as you know from other battle videos, Macedon morale is not very good. And with the pressure that my Carthage Sacred Band is putting on them, and the my allies Julio forcing behind them, their morale will drop. And here's a nice cavalry charge in there into the back of the engaged Macedon pikemen there. And if you notice, it's starting to cause a mass rout of the Macedon units there. Nice bit of teamwork and nice cavalry charge there by Crazy Wolf. And just to say, really well played to both players there. But if you notice, when we looked at that Egyptian army, you only had 4 infantry units, but it was a very mobile army. There's a close-up of those Triarii troops. We've still got a few of those left in that unit. But a mobile army such as that Egyptian one we fought, as I said, you can either stand around and try and look defensive, handing the initiative to the enemy where they can start angling their archers onto your flanks and things like that, or you can attack. And as you can see there, both Crazy and myself decided to attack, and it seems to have paid off there. I've been in other battles where Egyptian armies like that have won the day by using their mobility, and people maybe have been too defensive fighting them. So there's one unit of Pharaoh bowmen left there. You see these Pharaoh bowmen have got massive range, they do a lot of damage, and as I say, they're so tough that when they run out of arrows you can actually use them as light infantry, so they are quite a formidable force. And that's why a lot of people bring Egyptian armies with a lot of those Pharaoh bowmen and chariots, etc., just to make it a mobile, fast moving army. And you see it's the last of the units being routed there.
Enemy cowards, run! Drive them from the battlefield!
And it looks like our team's managed to go on and win that 2v2 battle. Just like to say, really well played to everybody in the game. Nice kills for the Egyptian general, Scorpion King SR, and well played to IOW Bubo too. I thought they both played extremely well there. That Egyptian army, it might not have looked much, but I've seen Egyptian armies like that almost win battles for teams in the past, so well done to them. And nice kills to Crazy Wolf there. I thought Brotherhood member Crazy Wolf played extremely well there. Nice support, nice attacks, and really well played to him. And I hope you enjoyed the battle. As I say, it's a midweek bonus battle, and I hope you enjoyed it. Spartan Commander saying look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.